I think VeChain has such a bright future, and its primary native token called VET, reaching the price of $1 during this bull run, that's still my price target. And some people may be thinking that, okay, that's impossible. Well, even though nothing I say is financial advice, I don't think it's impossible. I'm going to disagree on that because the way to take a look at it is that even though a lot of hype is shown for AI projects, meme coins, and don't get me wrong, I love them too, but it's about time. Projects that are focused on supply chain management really gains that mass attention. And I think, again, it's just a matter of time. Now, VET, it's not like it's been doing that bad anyways ever since I started talking about it. Pretty good despite the price pullback. But still, I think this could have a massive resurgence, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before because when people say, oh, VET going to the price of $1 is impossible. Well, you got to think about this. Its focus is massive. Now, in my opinion, each business, one way or another, I can't really say each, however, the majority of businesses, in my opinion, in one way or another, again, right, could really have their supply chain management be improved. I think there's always room for improvement. And when it comes to VeChain, they're helping that happen. Now, people may think that, okay, VeChain's trying to do this, but the adoption is really bad. However, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter because in the world of cryptocurrencies, what do people care about nowadays? They care about anticipated adoption as opposed to adoption in its current form. Think about Solana. Solana popped off in a massive way. We all know that. Does Solana have the best adoption? Absolutely not. Its ecosystem is known for meme coins, and I do love Solana meme coins. Like, for instance, I love Wen, I love Maneki, and some others. However, even so, despite that, the way I view it is, it doesn't have the best adoption, right? But still people think that it could do good in the future, which is why they believe in it. And when it comes to VeChain, especially once there's that mass retail hype for projects that are focused on supply chain management, I think VET is really going to take off. And you got to think about how VeChain, they pretty much have a monopoly in this space in a sense, because when people think about, hey, what is a project that is focused on supply chain management, 9 times out of 10, at least from the people I know, they're going to think of VeChain. It's kind of like synonymous. It's like when people think about tissue paper, they think about Kleenex, if that makes sense. So when you take a look at VeChain, it pretty much has a dominating force in the space, and it's a space that really hasn't gained that massive attention yet. However, it could. This is a recipe for hypothetical success, in my opinion. And keep in mind, VeChain already has partnerships with giants like PricewaterhouseCoopers and Deloitte. Both of them, by the way, are part of the Big Four accounting firms, so that's insane. Not to mention, you take a look at Walmart China, BMW, H&M, LVMH, which is massive, of course, Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. You also take a look at the government of Cyprus. I mean, this is the stuff that VeChain is doing. They don't play any random nonsense games, if that makes sense. They're really taking a serious approach to this. Some other projects out there, they say they're serious, but their actions don't really showcase that. But this really does, because can you imagine how difficult it is to get partnerships like this? It's insane, so I think this right here is very impressive and a true testament to the team, if anything. Not to mention, you take a look at the VeChain Thor blockchain, which gets a lot of criticism because some people may think that, oh yeah, it's not as amazing as Solana, or take a look at something like Cardano. Well, I get it. VeChain Thor blockchain doesn't have the best adoption, not really that famous anyways. However, you got to take a look at its reliability, and enterprises, believe it or not, they care about this because let's say they want to adopt new technology. Of course, they want something to be reliable. It's like personally for me, when I buy a vehicle, it better be reliable. I'm not going to buy a Mercedes-Benz or anything like that. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, but for me, when I've heard the stories about a Mercedes-Benz, Range Rover, that's something I'd never touch. So the way I view it is that, again, enterprises, sometimes they do care about this. And of course, they want to adopt something that's reliable. Take a look at the VeChain Thor blockchain. Ever since 2018, it experienced 0 network outages. Can you imagine that? Ever since 2018? Can you imagine? All those years, 2019, 2020, 2021, whatever the case may be, right? All those years, 0 network outages. You take a look at Solana, at one point, it did experience 8 different network outages in just a time span of a year. So when you think about the reliability of VeChain Thor, it's pretty much one of the best, in my opinion. You take a look at Solana. Solana is cool. It's like a Mercedes-Benz. But what's the point if it breaks down like 8 times a year? Keep in mind, Solana at one point nearly had a network outage, again, almost once a month. That's crazy to think about. Now, allegedly, it's been fixed, but I'm just saying that's kind of bad, at least at one point. However, when you take a look at VeChain Thor, again, it doesn't have any of these issues. Not to mention, you take a look at when it comes to VET, people like to say, okay, why are you so bullish on VET and not VTHO? Well, when you take a look at VET and VTHO, they're both used on the VeChain Thor blockchain. Now, VTHO stands for VeChain Thor Energy. And this right here is quite essentially a gas token in a sense. It's used for gas fees. Even though I do believe it does play a very vital role when it comes to VeChain, I'm very bullish on VET, and the focus of this video is on that. But even besides that, people like to think that, oh yeah, $1 is impossible. Well, if it were to go to the price of $1, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $81 billion. Let's say for simplicity's sake, it's like 80 billion. However, even then, that's not too bad. It's around 20x from here, so it's not going to be the best upside of all time. But keep in mind, VET isn't a microcap. And the fact that for a project this amazing, and it really hasn't had that massive attention yet in a sense, man, this is a no-brainer pick for me. Keep in mind, I'm not looking for a microcap, but I'm not looking for a dinosaur like a BNB or like an Ethereum, for instance. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for something that could hypothetically be somewhat massive, however, at the same time, not really having that risk of a microcap. There's always going to be risk, but this one feels a little bit more mitigated in my opinion. And again, around an $80 billion market cap, I don't see why not. Keep in mind, Dogecoin reached over 80 billion. BNB reached over 100 billion. Now, this was back in 2021, but in my opinion, this is kind of like nothing really. Take a look at how, according to Crypto.com research, in 2023, slightly over 2% of the crypto hacks that happened that year actually occurred on the BNB Smart Chain ecosystem. That's not great. So when I take a look at something like this, yeah, I just don't see why not. If BNB can reach over 100 billion, if Dogecoin can reach over 80 billion, I think this is really peanuts in the grand scheme of things. Even if we take a look at Charles Hoskinson, who not only is the co-founder of Ethereum, but the founder of Cardano, he does predict that in the next 1 to 2 years, based on a video that he was a part of back in November of last year, he did say that he could very well see in that time frame Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000, so that's 250,000, all the way up to $500,000. Could you imagine that? If we assume his best case scenario timeline, so a year, and worst case scenario price target for Bitcoin, 250,000, if let's say Bitcoin were to reach $250,000 in November this year, could you imagine VET at that point? Even $1 may seem a little bit bearish in my opinion. I'm not saying that this is a surefire thing, but again, if that were to happen, I think this might seem a little bit bearish. Now, why could 2025 be a good year, even despite whatever Charles Hoskinson said? Even if we take a look at history, or should I say back in history, why could this be a very important year? It's because usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. The last Bitcoin halving event happened back in April, so 18 months from then is October this year. Again, this has historically been a worst case scenario for altcoins to peak. It's not a guarantee. Things can maybe happen a little bit sooner, a little bit later, because of course, each cycle is different. There's going to be a different sentiment. However, as of right now, I just don't see why this wouldn't be the case, because you take a look at how there's currently more cryptocurrency owners than ever before in history, according to Crypto.com research. This is massive in terms of generating that FOMO, that buying pressure, that buying volume. Take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, the number of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption. It's all very amazing. So that's why I think this bull run could be so special. It's just a waiting game, really. And I'm willing to wait. And I haven't given up when it comes to VET and $1. That's still my price target for this bull run. And I really do believe in it. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Malik the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.